Department in general, as it applies to environmental concerns, is always if we have an active fire, what types of smoke, chemicals, and so on are both our firefighters dealing with and what's being released into the environment. And that is situational depending on the type of fire or the type of hazardous material spills or whatever that our firefighters go to.
What are some possible measures the fire department could take that would reduce the carbon footprint that they have?
That maybe you're not already taking, or there's some or what are some things that you are doing?
Well, some of the things that we're doing are mandated by the federal government. There's an entirely new list of emissions controls that are being placed on fire trucks and fire apparatus. And when we go out and purchase replacement equipment, especially on our big fire trucks, the makeup of those engines and how they operate and the emissions controls, and correct me if I'm wrong here, are completely different than what was designed and purchased 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and 20 years ago. There's a lot more restrictions on those types of big engines on those trucks. So that's an automatic thing that the government requires. So when we bid those trucks, that comes automatically to us. As it applies to our firefighters, when we deal with environmental response, structure fires, hazardous material spills, and so on, technology changes, and what is provided to them to get those types of incidents under control, that technology has changed as it applies to the use of fire suppression equipment and structure fires. We have basically hand grenades that we can throw in now that will knock that down in certain situations faster with the reduced use of water and things like that that has an environmental impact. A lot of the things that firefighters do can't change because we have to have certain standards of safety, certain types of uniforms, and certain types of response protocols that we use to ensure that A, the situation doesn't get worse, and B, that our firefighters and first responders are safe.
What kind of responsibilities does the fire department have on, like, cleanup after a fire in order to, you know, like?
Well, it depends. Our firefighters' responsibility goes to examining a scene and working through a scene to the point where they know they have the fire extinguished and making sure that there's no spreading of the fire within a structure. So if they go in and there is a fire, they may have to open walls up, open ceilings up, open attics up to ensure that there is no spread of the fire. They may have to remove hot materials out of a structure to put more water on them and things like that, again to make sure there's no spread to the fire. As it applies to the specific cleanup of a fire scene, that's not the responsibility of the fire department or the city. That goes to the property owner and their insurance carriers. Unless there's an obstruction, if it's on a street or things like that, then we work collectively together to open that up. When it comes to hazardous materials, our firefighters are charged with containing the spill, controlling the spill. We contract with the Sioux City Fire Department that has a technicians level hazardous materials team that will come in and also help neutralize the spill. But as it applies to the cleanup of the spill, it is the responsibility of the person who spilled it, the company they represent, to contract with professional firms that do nothing but spill cleanup and will come in and clean it up. You know, they may have to go to the extent that if a spill or chemicals are on not pavement but dirt or ground, they may have to actually remove that dirt and replace it with new dirt and appropriately take that away and so on. Another example of things that we have to do is just recently our firefighters and police officers dealt with a meth laboratory in a house. That house, for all practical purposes, depending on the type of method that the meth was being manufactured by, can become a hazardous materials site. And so the appropriate precautions have to be made in neutralizing those chemicals. But it's the homeowner's responsibility or the lien holder's responsibility to actually clean that site permanently. And they have to report that site permanently as that house gets sold. Just like if your car is in a wreck, when you sell it or trade it in, you have to sign a voucher that says, yes, this vehicle was in a collision, Now, every time a home where there's a meth lab is sold, that has to be noted on the title of the home, the sales documents and so on, to ensure that people know what has gone on in that structure.